Do you remember the days when food came straight from the backyard, not the supermarket? When simple garden greens and crops turned into the best meals you ever tasted? Back then, nothing went to waste, and every plant had a purpose, because while we're rushing to the grocery store now for literally everything, Grandma knew exactly what to look for in her own backyard. But over time, some of those old favorites have faded from our tables, replaced, forgotten, until now. Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane with 9 forgotten plants and fruits that every senior will remember from their childhood. Some were foraged, some were homegrown, and all of them tell a story of simpler, sweeter times. What's amazing is that many of these heirlooms might be growing in your yard right now, quietly, waiting to be rediscovered. And speaking of discoveries, wait until you see what's at number 1. It's a plant that your grandmother probably picked fresh every summer morning. But let's begin our journey with the first crop in our list at number 9, a truly remarkable plant that turned everyday cornbread into something spectacular. Number 9, rainbow corn. Rainbow corn, or glass gem corn as some folks call it, is one of the most beautiful vegetables ever grown. Long ago, Native American families carefully saved and passed down these special seeds for generations. Each cob is truly a work of art. The kernels come in shades of blue, purple, red, and gold, shining like tiny gemstones. But the rainbow corn wasn't just grown for looks. Unlike several of the corn varieties we have today, rainbow corn had a rich, nutty flavor that made for incredible cornmeal. Many of our grandparents used it to make cornbread with a deep, hearty taste you just don't find anymore. Some families even hung the most colorful ears in their kitchens, letting them dry through the winter as both food and decoration. Back then, people understood that nature's beauty came in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we remembered that too. Number 8, purslane. Remember those little plants with thick, reddish stems that popped up between sidewalk cracks? That's purslane, and our grandparents knew something most people have forgotten. It's not just a weed, it's a tasty and nutritious green. Back in the day, folks would gather these tender leaves in summer, adding them into salads or cooking them up like spinach. Purslane has a mild, lemony flavor and a nice crunch, making it a refreshing addition to any meal. And here's the best part. Grandma didn't have to spend a dime on it. While others bought lettuce at the store, smart gardeners just stepped outside and picked their salad fresh. But what Grandma might not have known is just how powerful purslane really is, especially for seniors. It's rich in folate, a form of vitamin B that supports many of your body's functions, from your vision to your brain health. As we get older, keeping our minds sharp and our bodies strong becomes more important than ever, and this little plant is packed with the nutrients to help. Turns out our grandparents were ahead of their time. Scientists now say purslane is one of the most nutrient-dense greens around. Maybe it's time we started seeing this little weed for the super green it really is. Number 7, dandelion. These days, people try to get rid of dandelions, but ask anyone who grew up in the 1940s or 50s, and they'll tell you, dandelions were gold. This is because every part of the plant had a use, either as a food or medicine. Those bright yellow flowers were turned into sweet, honey-like jelly, perfect for spreading on morning toast. The young, tender leaves were picked in early spring for salads, before they got too bitter. And the roots? Some folks roasted them for a warm, earthy drink that tasted a bit like coffee. Your grandmother probably had a special time of year to gather dandelion greens, because she knew their worth, packed with nutrients that are better than many of the store-bought vegetables we rely on today. So maybe, instead of fighting dandelions, we should remember what our grandparents knew all along, because sometimes the best things in life grow right under our feet, and dandelion is one of them. Number 6, plantain. No, not the banana-looking fruit. This plantain, or plantago major as some folks call it, is a hardy little plant that grows wild in almost every yard across America. If you've ever pulled or opened its wide, flat leaves and seen the strong strings inside, you might remember calling them nature's bandages. And for good reason. Our grandparents knew plantain was a double blessing. First, it was a healing plant. Its leaves, when crushed, could be placed on bee stings or cuts to soothe the pain. But it was also good for eating. The young leaves were cooked just like spinach. They add a rich, earthy flavor to soups and stews. But here's the thing. Many people today see plantain growing in their yards and pull it up as weeds, not realizing it's both edible and medicinal. Some folks even worry it might be poisonous, simply because they weren't taught about it. Yet, in other parts of the world, like Kurdish culture, plantain has been eaten for over 200 years. It's a springtime favorite, often prepared with skill because the leaves can have a naturally spicy kick. Some families even store it for winter, treating it as a valuable ingredient. Even in the toughest times and off-seasons, when the garden wasn't doing well, you could count on finding these sturdy little plants. They served as a backup plan for many families. Number 5. Desert quandong. This is one of the fruits that reminds us just how connected the world used to be. Quandong, also known as the desert peach or wild peach, originated from Australia. But over several decades, this remarkable fruit has found its way into warm climate gardens across the globe, becoming a cherished part of many family traditions. It has a bold, tart-sweet flavor, often described as a mix of peach and rhubarb with a unique twist, which is one of the many qualities that make it a favorite among families. This little red fruit has twice the vitamin C of an orange, making it a natural way to keep the immune system strong and skin healthy, especially as we age. Old-timers knew that every part of the quandong was useful. The bright red flesh, which had a slightly sour and salty taste, can either be eaten raw, but were more tasty if made into jams and relishes. The nuts inside were roasted and stored because they are packed with healthy oils that help keep joints flexible and minds sharp. It's amazing to think that this one little fruit provided so much. Vitamin C for staying healthy, natural oils from the nuts for flexibility, and a taste that made medicine feel more like a treat. They sure don't make multivitamins that taste this good. Number 4. Loquat. This was a fruit that many people used to pick straight from their backyard trees but don't see as often anymore. The Japanese plum, as some preferred to call it, was one of the first fresh fruits to ripen in early spring, making it a real treat after a long winter. If you grew up with a loquat tree nearby, you might remember climbing up to grab the sweetest ones before the birds got to them. These bright orange, oval-shaped fruits had a flavor that was a little bit like peach, citrus, and mango all mixed together. They were delicious right off the tree, but smart cooks turned them into jams, chutneys, and sweet pastes. Some families even bottled them in syrup to enjoy later, or baked them into cakes and pies for a special dessert. Harvest time, families would gather these fruits to make all sorts of good things. Some would cook them into sweet tart applesauce, jams, and jellies, while others made rich apple butter that would last all winter. Of course, they always remembered to remove the seeds and core, just like with regular apples. But the uses didn't stop there. Those same tart apples made the most wonderful cider that really come in handy during cold weather. Even the ones that fell from the tree didn't go to waste. Folks would gather them up to make vinegar and animal feeds. In fact, every part of crabapple had a purpose. Wood from it was valued so much for its strength and durability, and was often used to make tool handles. This is another proof that old-timers knew how to make the most of everything nature provided. Number 2. Stinging nettles. Yes, we're talking about those prickly plants that would sting if you touched them. While most folks today hurry to pull these out of their gardens, your grandparents saw them differently. They understood a secret that modern science is just catching up to. Stinging nettles are one of nature's most powerful health foods. The trick was knowing when and how to pick them. In early spring, wearing gloves, folks would gather the young tender tops. Once cooked in water or dried for tea, all the sting disappeared completely. The taste? Rich and earthy, similar to spinach but with more flavor and more nutrition. For seniors watching today, here's something your doctor might not tell you. Stinging nettles are packed with compounds that fight inflammation and help with those everyday aches and pains. They're especially good for joint comfort and maintaining healthy blood pressure. That's why many of our grandparents made nettle tea a daily habit. During hard times, these plants were like having a free pharmacy in your backyard. People used them for spring allergies, boosting energy levels, literally everything. The leaves could be cooked just like spinach in soups and stews, and it'll add rich nutrients even to the common meals. Families would even dry the leaves to use all winter, preserving their health benefits for when fresh green ones become scarce before the next harvesting season. Grandma probably knew that spring nettles made the most nourishing soup you could imagine. Today's research shows she was right. These plants are loaded with iron, calcium, and vitamins that help keep our hearts healthy and our bones strong. Number 1. Buckwheat. This is a plant that tells a story of beauty, wisdom, and survival from our grandparents' time. Buckwheat wasn't just another grain in the garden. It was a masterpiece of nature that turned entire fields into a stunning sight. As it matured, the plants would go from green to a deep, beautiful red, painting the countryside in rich autumn colors. You probably remember buckwheat as breakfast meals, especially due to those nutty flavored pancakes, but your grandparents knew that it was more. Many families back in the day used buckwheat to make a nourishing, gluten-free, homemade bread that had a unique flavor store-bought loaves just can't match. The real magic of buckwheat showed in how the old-time gardeners used it. They were clever with this plant, especially during tough times like the Great Depression and World War II. They'd plant it in fields they wanted to rest, let it grow and go to seed, then plow it back into the soil. This wasn't just good farming, it was genius. The buckwheat would choke out pesky weeds and enrich the soil naturally. Some wise gardeners would repeat this process several times a year, creating what they called green manure, nature's own NPK fertilizer. For seniors watching today, you might be interested to know that buckwheat is just as valuable now as it was then. It's perfect for keeping blood sugar steady, and it's easy on sensitive stomachs. Those health food stores selling buckwheat at premium prices today? Your grandparents got all those benefits for free, straight from their own land. In times when food was scarce and families were low on money, buckwheat helped many families stay healthy and well-fed. It supported the bees that made honey, improved the soil for other crops, and provided nutritious food for the table. Now that's what you call a true garden treasure. Finally, isn't it amazing how wise our grandparents were and how much nutrients they packed into their gardens? These 9 plants weren't just food on the table. They were a ware's lane pushing through the cracks in your sidewalk. Or maybe there's a forgotten crabapple tree in your neighbor's yard. Nature has kept these treasures alive, waiting for us to remember their value. For those of you who remember picking and eating these plants, we'd love to hear your stories. Did your mother make crabapple jelly? Did you help gather dandelion greens in spring? Share your memories in the comments below. Every story helps keep this precious knowledge alive. And if you're just discovering these plants for the first time, why not start your own garden tradition? Even a small pot of herbs on your porch can connect you to this rich heritage of growing your own food. You don't need acres of land. Your grandparents often did amazing things with just a tiny backyard plot. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We have more videos coming about the forgotten wisdom of our grandparents' generation. Simple living tips that are more valuable to you today as a senior than ever. Remember, sometimes the best treasures are growing right under our feet. We just need to open our eyes and remember what our grandparents knew all along. Until next time, keep growing and keep those precious memories alive.